Champaign County Agriculture Today with your host, Dennis Riggs.
Welcome to Champaign County Agriculture Today. My name is Dennis Riggs, your host for the next few minutes as we explore some very interesting aspects of an organization that you may or may not have heard of here in the Champaign County area. When you talk about a word like extension, what do you think of? I talked to a good friend of mine this morning and she said, extension? Oh, you mean an extension cord? I said, no, something different than that. We're going to talk about extension today, about a organization that's been in Champaign County and across the state and across many states for many, many years and does a lot of good work. You may not know what they're going to do. We're going to find out today. Today in our program, we have three guests that are going to tell us all about extension because they know it, they live it, they breathe it, they're in there every day, and we're glad to have you folks with us today.
Thank you.
We're going to go around the table here real quick and do a quick introduction. First, Steve Ayers, tell us what your title is and what you do for extension here locally.
Well, I am the farm business educator, work here in Champaign County, and primarily do both farm business and consumer economics. So it's kind of a good background for me. It gets me involved with a number of area organizations.
Very good. Good. Glad to have you with us today. Darla, we'll turn to you. Tell us what your title is over there and what you do in Extension.
I'm the County Extension Director, so my duties involve programming, resource management for the office, supervision of staff, and things such as that.
Okay. And we'll finish up with Kathy. Kathy, good to have you with us today. I hear you have the fun job in Extension. Tell us more about what you do.
I'm the 4-H program coordinator, and I coordinate and provide programs and workshops for all the kids in the county.
Very good. So you get to work with the young people.
Yes, I do. I get to be a big kid myself.
Well, we all try to be that way. Well, Darla, I'm going to start out with you. When you say extension, for those who don't understand what that means, extension seems like, you know, you put it on something to make it longer, or is that what it is? Tell us what extension
actually the outreach branch of the University of Illinois. Extension was established in 1914, and the goal of that was to bring information to the agricultural sector from the land-grant universities and to help farmers increase their production of agriculture, and also to help homemakers have a safe home. Learning to do things such as gardening, cooking, food preservation, sewing, and there were also great concerns about rural energy and how technology in the rural areas was going to be utilized to make life the best for the people that were living there.
So it was based upon need, basically. You were talking farmers that wanted to do a better job of farming,
yes.
Homemakers that wanted to do a better job of making their homes, and safety. Has that changed?
Not a great deal. I mean, Extension has, over the years, we've changed to meet the needs. And when you mention the needs, our programs are driven by what folks tell us are their greatest needs. We recently just conducted a survey called Together We Can Tell Us How, which was a statewide survey asking people what they see as their greatest needs. And that's one of the things that's helped Extension evolve over the years and make us a viable entity, is because we are based on what people want, what they see as needs, but then we're tying that back to the unbiased research from the universities.
So what makes this different than maybe other groups that advise is that there is no company behind you. There's no corporate sponsorship or anything. It's more based upon what the university finds through their education?
Yes, based on what research says about the topics that are on the minds of people. When Extension started, about 50% of folks were living in rural areas, 30% of those were involved directly in farming. Today that's about 2%. So we've remained viable by changing as society has changed to bring people actually what are most important to them and to teach them where they are.
Seems like this is all based kind of on the food business. And Steve, I know if you work with farmers, you're working with the people that actually start the food chain. That's where food begins out there on the farm. Tell me about the back history of farmers and Extension, and kind of then bring me up to where we're at right now. Has that changed a lot?
Well, actually, we have what we're educational resource. And so you take the research from both the University of Illinois and the Ag Experiment Stations, and you extend that out to the area farmers, try to get them involved in less tillage, better energy utilization. We've got Real Active Marketing Club here in Champaign County. It meets monthly. We're working on a pilot program this summer for a ladies marketing club because we had a number of farm spouses who were either landowners or wanted to help their husbands with the challenge of marketing, especially when we see the wide swings in markets lately. Probably one of our largest programs is the pesticide safety training. Any farmer that uses a restricted use pesticide needs a license. University of Illinois Extension provides the education, and then the Illinois Department of Ag actually does the testing. This is a test every 3 years. For commercial applicators, it's a yearly test. And so extension educators work with the Department of Ag. We put on those programs, and for the private applicators, it's about every 3 years.
So it sounds to me like what you're wanting to do here is helping farmers do a better job of farming. Well, let's talk about somebody that may be listening today and they say, gosh, I want to be a farmer. I want to learn some techniques that I can maybe farm. Maybe it's in my backyard. Maybe they just inherited 80 acres and they want to start out. Can you help a person like that too?
Oh, there's some excellent websites that are coordinated through University of Illinois Extension, and on everything from the small farm, and of course horticulture is one of our strongest programs with the Master Gardener program and now Master Naturalist program.
I think we have a picture of one of the websites. It's probably one of the more basic ones. Let's see if we can put that up on the screen. You might explain to the people what this website is and what does it do? What can they find there?
Department of Ag and Consumer Economics coordinates the Farm Doc website, and that is just about everything farm management, everything from what's new in the markets all the way to weather, and leases are real popular questions. So that's a great place to start. There's a Farmgate blog that is through University of Illinois Extension that talks about the real hot topics of agriculture.
And of course, that's all. What's the website to go to? www.
It's farmdoc.uiuc.edu.
Gotcha. All right. I'm sure people will see that on the screen too. All right. Well, let's talk about the fun stuff. You talk about farmers, and you're talking about the history and all that type of thing. But let's talk about the kids. I understand that Kathy, you get to deal with the kids and all this learning. Kids need a lot of education on some basic stuff, and it sounds like you've got quite a job there. Tell me what your work is in Extension, and what. By the way, 4-H. What are the 4-H's?
Head, hands, heart, and health.
I hope I didn't catch you. Did a fine job.
I better know that.
It's what again?
Head, heart, hands, and health.
And why do they have that as an example of what their main organization is all about?
Those connect to the core, actually, of the extension itself as to making good decisions, caring about people, working in your community, and making good decisions.
I think we've got a logo of the 4-H there,
Yes,
and we can
do.
put that up. And that's a logo that's been around for, what, just a year or two maybe?
Oh, no, it's been around for many years, since 1902.
02, that's great. Now, this organization, is it open to just farm kids, or who can be a part of the 4-H groups?
4-H is the biggest organization open to any kid, regardless of where they live, what their background is, or economic status.
How would you say it's different from we think of Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, that type of thing. How is 4-H a little bit different, or are there similarities?
There are some similarities, but what makes us unique is we take the research base from the University of Illinois, and we give them that actual hands-on experience. A lot of our workshops that we have our volunteers provide for us, the kids actually get in there and have fun and build things and learn about them.
Great sounding program, but all kids need direction and they need some leadership. Now, do you handle all the kids in the county, or do you get help from other people? How does that work?
We are extension based, but we have over 100 volunteers. 30 of those are organizational leaders for our clubs within Champaign County, and they actually work with the 300 and some 4-H members that we have.
So there's about 300 and some in Champaign County
Yes.
right now, but the possibilities are limitless.
Absolutely.
Give me an idea of a different type of program. We think maybe gardening or with extension. Give me some of the programs that you would not normally think that 4-H would have in them.
Well, our newest curriculum that we have is the Power of Wind,
Okay.
the new sustainable energy. And that is one of the projects in our science, engineering, and technology programs that we're offering at the moment, trying to get our kids are our future, and with the not enough kids passing math and sciences. We want to help get those kids into those project areas because they're our workforce.
I'm sure someone's listening right now, they're thinking, wow, this is pretty cool. Gosh, this must be expensive. It must be the most expensive summer camp they've ever had. Or what are the costs? What are the costs involved in this?
Absolutely not. 4-H is open to anyone. There is a program fee of, we had $10 this year, and that provides books for them, project books for them, and endless opportunities for them to exhibit their work.
Fantastic. Well, Darla, let's get back to you. What a great program is going on here. It sounds like there are a lot of different activities for different people. Give us a little bit of an idea. What's probably the most popular program, and do I say that in number of people that are involved in it, or just the results? What would you consider some of the popular programs?
I think one of the more popular programs that we have are the ones where we train people to go out and be leaders, to be 4-H leaders, or to disseminate educational information. So we're talking about the 4-H program and the opportunities we provide for the adult leaders and the youth to develop their leadership skills, and also things like our Master Gardener program, Master Naturalist program, our new program, the Money Mentors, where we train volunteers in these areas, give them the tools they need so they can go out and work with more people.
I think we've got a picture here of some training going on.
Yes.
We have do you mind explaining this program, the
Well,
slide we have
our
up?
Master Gardeners have a help desk, and they man that at our office through the spring and summer and fall when the growing season's taking place, and folks can come in with their questions. We get a lot of homeowner questions about trees, the yard, flowers and vegetables, and so on. And that's a service we provide to people free of charge.
So how many nasty old plants do they bring in and lay on the desk there? How does that work? I mean, truly, if you've got something in your yard.
Yes, we want people to bring in the example. The more information that they can give to the Master Gardeners, the better. We'll have people bringing in insect samples, dying weeds, or plants that are having problems for diagnosis.
We have a slide here I want to show, and
Yes,
of course this is a slide of my garden at home. Well, no, I guess it's not mine exactly, but tell us what's going on.
This is the Idea Garden.
Okay.
And the Idea Garden is one of the gems of the Master Gardeners. It's somewhat unique, even statewide, for Master Gardening. It started in 1997. It's a demonstration garden, and the volunteers get involved in showing different plants, prairie grasses, vegetables, and things like that, and they do it in a beautiful way.
I was just in Mattoon yesterday at Sarah Bush Hospital, and I believe, matter of fact, I know, because it was so cool, an Idea Garden right there at the hospital.
Yes.
You know, what can you tell me about that one?
Some of the counties have little demonstration gardens, things such as that, at hospitals, downtown. One of the goals is to help beautify the communities that people live in too. And we are going to be having our garden walk coming up soon, and that's a big program for us. But the Idea Garden's open. People can stop by over on Lincoln Avenue and take a look at it anytime.
Cool, that's fantastic. Before we get past this, people have a plant or have a problem, where are the offices located for
Our
Extension?
office is located at 801 North Country Fair Drive. We're in Suite D, and they can call us also or find us on the website. And our website gets about 85,000 hits a month from people, and one of the things that they're looking for, besides information about 4-H and so on, is information about
We
horticulture.
have that up right now. There's the
Great.
website, so people go to, once again, give them the general website is?
www.extension.uiuc.edu/Champaign, or they
Okay.
can just Google Champaign County Extension. And it's an easy-to-use website. The icons that we're seeing now show you the different programs that we have. You can click on those and get information. And then over to the right-hand side of the website is a listing of the programs that we're offering, and people can register for programs online.
Now, one thing I didn't get a chance to cover earlier, but we need to touch on, we're talking about Champaign County Extension, but if this program is being viewed anywhere, how big is Extension? Steve, you've been around a long time and seen this type of stuff. How big is the Extension? It's more than Champaign County.
Right, it's through the entire nation in some form or fashion. In Illinois, we've got 102 counties, and we have coverage in each one of those counties. Some are combination offices that might handle 2 or 3 counties. But here in Champaign, we just cover Champaign County. But it's definitely a nationwide program coordinated through the USDA.
Okay, so funding for this, I know we talked about a lot of the information comes from the University of Illinois, but then there's additional funding that comes through USDA, is that right?
Right, and then we also have local funding.
Okay.
through Champaign County.
All right. Well, I want to get back to the kids for just a second. I want to go back over here to Kathy and talk about that because, as you said, the future is our children, and the more they can learn about these types of programs. You don't teach anything about video games, right?
No.
No. Okay. Tell me, just give me a couple of the different subject areas. We talked about the wind. Give me a couple other areas that the kids can learn about through the 4-H program. By the way, do you still do animals and show at the county
Yes, we
fairs
do.
and stuff?
Yes, we do. Our programs go beyond the actual workshops as we have county fairs and state fair opportunities for them and international opportunities for the exchange program.
I've heard there's some leadership skills that kids can learn in 4-H as well. Tell us what type of things are involved there.
We teach public presentations or public speaking, get them comfortable sometime in their life. They will do a public speaking program, and in their clubs we encourage them to do at least one talk on a project area throughout their career.
Do these kids meet, is it a monthly, is it a weekly? For people who maybe have never heard about this and trying to figure out if they want to get their children involved in this, how big of a time commitment is this for their children and for them as parents?
Typically 4-H clubs meet one time a month to do their business meeting and their project meeting, and then they'll do special activities like they'll go skating or bowling or a community service fundraiser or something.
Great. Well, really encourage people that are listening today to find out more about 4-H for their kids. I know it's a great program to get them started at. Let's go back. Darla, I want to talk to you for just a second. When we talk about extension, we've been talking agriculture kids, but I know parents need some help every once in a while too.
Yes.
They need some assistance. Maybe mom and dad aren't around anymore, or maybe there's an area that they don't understand. Financial concerns, of course, are a big one right now. I understand Extension has some programs to help people out with their financial problems.
Yes. The Money Mentor program that we just started this year helps people who are having problems. Maybe they're having problems organizing their finances, or they've had a change in their income. The Money Mentors are trained to work with those individuals on a one-on-one basis to help them get back on track. We also have family life programs. We do a lot of training of preschool teachers. Our website also offers a lot of information for parents with the Parenting 24/7 and things like that. So we are also concerned about people's health. We have the Moon Walk. Many people who are listening today
the
might
Moon
know
Walk.
about the Moon Walk.
I've heard some public, get some detail onto that. Tell us, you really do walk to the moon. How do you do
Well,
that?
we're logging enough steps to walk to the moon and back one time, and we're in competition with Peoria and the Quad Cities. We have over 1,700 people walking with us this spring, and we'll end in June. Right now we're in the lead. We're looking at the average number of miles walked, so we're doing very well with that. But the idea is to just get people out and being active, and also we provide them educational information through our website and through email, because it's all done electronically, and we're logging the miles electronically.
We have a slide on the moonwalk. There
Yes.
it is. That talks a little bit about it. Now, is that a website people can
This-
go to learn more about
Right,
it?
this is our Moonwalk website. People can still register. Registration continues throughout the Moonwalk. This is where people who are walking can log their miles. People who are interested in knowing more about moonwalking or how walking can improve your health, there's some fact sheets there also.
Because even though the idea of walking to the moon sounds cool, isn't the real reason because you want people to get out and
Yes.
exercise and be more healthy? I mean,
Yes,
give
we
us the
do.
background of what the real reason is behind
Well,
walking
we
to
know
the
that
moon.
walking can help improve people's health, and it does decrease some of the disease factors that we're facing these days. And it's also great for families. You mentioned families before. Many of our programs are to enhance family life. We have families who are in Moonwalk together and they're walking together. It also helps people with friendships, and we're hoping that it'll get some recognition in that way too. Many people in their workplace are walking together. This is a great way to reduce stress. I know people have a lot of stress in their life right now. So that's another objective of the Moonwalk.
Very good. Well, it sounds like a great program. I hope people will tune into that website and find out. We started out, Steve, I want to come back to you a little bit. We talked about farming, and of course stress.
Right.
Farmers get out and walk their fields a little bit. Let's talk about the changes in agriculture. I know you've helped farmers learn new techniques. What have you seen during your tenure with Extension here in the area? And before that, I know you've been in agriculture, been involved in agriculture a long time. What is changing in farming today?
Well, kind of, if you recall, kind of in the 50s, we kind of made the shift from gasoline tractors to diesel tractors. And of course, everything is getting bigger. You just drive around a country road and you can see planters are now 24 rows on up. Combines are matching that at least up to 12 rows. So it just is a lot of consolidation. When a farmer retires, a lot of times it's just another neighboring farmer gets bigger rather than a new person
So the
starts.
actual number of farms has decreased, even though the same number of acres. How about the number of acres? Are the same number of acres being farmed now as way back in the 50s?
Right. With the demand from food, fiber, and now fuel, you can see that we are farming near record amounts of acreage.
What about, there's a big movement now talking about people are getting back connected to the land. They want to know where their food comes from. As farms get bigger, is that harder to do, or is there a connection of where the food actually began and its road down the food chain?
Well, USDA classes a farm as $1,000 of goods. So you have 1 to 2 to 3 acre farmers on up to thousands of acre farmers. So to try to come up with an average size farm or average farmer is very, very difficult, because you have specialists that may be into organic or some type of strawberries and that type of thing, and they're still classed as farmers, even though they may be selling at the farmers markets and not to a grain elevator. So it's such a diversity of crops, and of course around here we think of corn and soybeans, but you just go to the farmers markets and you can see a little bit of everything.
The land is still able to sustain many different parts of agriculture. When people that may be listening here today think of, the hogs and the cattle and the sheep and the chickens and, a little bit of sweet corn and some field corn, does that still go on, or are we getting away from that?
I think we see a lot of specialization, back after World War II, kind of had a lot of farms were essentially nearly self-contained. They raised about everything, milk cows, raised practically every type of livestock, where now farmers seem to specialize to a lot of cash grain, or they're a specialty into hogs or beef or livestock operation.
We've been talking about the Master Gardening Program. Gardening, of course, growing crops and growing flowers and things from the soil. What is it, in extension, do the gardener people and the farming people get together and compare notes, or is it so much different that there's no comparison?
A lot of times there are farmers who are master gardeners, but usually it's a matter of scale. And so a lot of times your master gardeners are more worried about the backyard type operation rather than an 80-acre field.
I guess the question I'm wondering, I have people ask me sometimes, what about the health of the soil? How about the nutrients that they need? How much different is if I'm growing tomatoes for my kitchen table, or if I'm growing corn that'll be exported to a foreign country to feed a starving world? Is there a difference between the soil and how it's treated when I'm a gardener or I'm a farmer?
Well, everything is based on a soil test. So you want to pull a soil test and then make your recommendations from there.
So there's a lot of similarities between the two. Okay, well, I'm going to get over to Kathy then, because I'm wondering, in the gardening, as the kids are learning about this stuff, what type of programs are there in 4-H to help them learn things that Steve uses in the real farming world, or that maybe the Master Gardeners use as an extension? Is there a tie-in with 4-H there?
Yes, there is.
Tell us about that.
We have our horticulture and floriculture programs, and we do use a lot of the Master Gardener volunteers to help guide our kids through those projects.
What's the biggest pumpkin they've ever grown?
That's a good question.
Do they compete on size of produce, or how many pounds per acre? How do these kids know that they're doing a good job, or that they need some improvement?
Well, they talk with the Master Gardeners, but when they do their exhibit projects, then based on the criteria, like the number of vegetables and the size of the vegetables and the color of the vegetables, and then again the quality, is what they're judged on.
Very good. So then another part of it is the livestock that I want to get back to. We think of cattle and sheep,
Yes.
but I understand there's other projects that kids can do in 4-H that are a little bit more suited for maybe somebody in town.
That's right. We have our small pets, which are guinea pigs and, other small animals. No amphibians, though.
Amphibians?
Snakes,
Oh, those
lizards.
I think that's a great idea. but give me some examples of what some of the kids have had in their pet projects?
Well, My Pet Rabbit, those kids that want to raise a rabbit, but they're not for like a meat rabbit or something like that. We have several of those. We have poultry, and I understand that some places in Urbana that they can raise poultry in their backyard. There is a limit on that number, but they need to contact their public health department to find out more about that. So.
No cattle and hogs.
No cattle or hogs.
That's probably a good idea. Very good. What do you see as far as the future for the kids? What's coming down the road? I know kids, what keeps their attention is changing all the time. What's 4-H doing to keep these young people's attention?
4-H is trying to stay on that cutting edge of the technology that's out there right now, and again, doing that learn by doing hands-on programming to keep the kids interested.
Good.
And not just 4-H clubs, but we do after-school programs at schools and other areas.
Then I'm going to move over to Steve. Future, who knows what it brings for farming? What do you see coming down the road as far as your work for farmers through the Extension Office?
Well, I think we see a tremendous interest in the succession and retirement and estate planning. As farmers right now are about average age of 57, and so there's that who's going to farm in the next 20 years. And so we see a tremendous interest in risk management, your marketing, your crop insurance, and now we've got the new farm bill, whether or not to take the acre program, the SURE program, and that's what we're working with farmers, trying to figure out what's best for their operation.
And I guess in our last minute or so we've got left, Darla, let's talk about Extension as a whole. I know maybe people have heard that there were some problems earlier on with some funding. You know, it takes some money to run these programs,
Yes.
and I see you have different sources. How can people help? And first of all, how can they help? Can they help Extension out by just being involved?
Being involved is a good way. Letting our decision makers and legislators know that extension is important to them is another way to help. We are trying to diversify our funding so that we can remain strong throughout the uncertain times. We are funded by the county, and then we have state dollars, but we're starting to look to grants as a way to help with programs, and also program fees, which we've tried to keep very reasonable for people, so we have some user fees that can help out with that as well. So we're just trying to find ways that we can diversify, just like you would in your own home.
But still, the whole idea of being non-company based,
Right.
you know, what did you call it again? The third part, no third parties involved in there.
Not research-based,
Research-based, that's exactly right, is a very important thing for
Right.
them. Where's the future headed? Where is the demand for programs that you're seeing in the future?
Well, it's very interesting because the survey that I mentioned to you earlier, many of the things that people see as important now were important when Extension was established. People are interested about food supply, like Steve mentioned during the time of World War II. There are concerns about energy, how we can conserve energy, how we can keep those costs down. Water quality is a big issue, and healthy food source. Are we going to be able to provide enough food? And people are very interested in locally grown things. And
a lot of challenges.
Right.
I
We're
wish we had
poised and
time to
ready.
go on. There's a lot of things to do, but that's all the time we've got. We hope you'll tune in again next time when you hear us talk more about agriculture on Champaign County Agriculture Today. I'm Dennis Riggs.
Champaign County Agriculture Today is brought to you by Champaign County Farm Bureau.